So we took up several questions just before the lunch time. There was one other question I think from Kakinada which we did not take. I request you to use the hand raise option again while we start answering the other questions. One important question was about the subscript and superscript. That is indeed the first question we will take up. Let us see what the question is from Kakinada. Okay, please ask.
In the case of nested enumerations, how many levels we can go through it, sir?
Yes, I read your question on chat. You said that I think 4 or 5, beyond that there's some error. So there might be a limit on the number. If you want to increase this number, perhaps you have to tell enumerate what counters to use. I can think of only numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, Roman numbers, alphabet small ABCD, capital ABCD. Beyond that what to use I also don't know. With itemize maybe it will work, but I don't know how to change the setting.
Sir, in alignments, case of center alignment, after closing the end center, we are specifying no indent. Suppose if it is in the case of flourish right and we are not specifying no indent, why it is so?
Okay, okay. Okay, thanks indeed for this question, very important question. We will start answering this in detail. Any other question from Kakinada? So, one important question was that in the begin center, we did begin center, end center. Shall we just go to the computer? So, whenever we have an empty line like here, yeah, we have one empty line or two empty lines is the same as one line, that marks the beginning of a new paragraph. If it is the beginning of a new paragraph, there will be some indentation. For every paragraph new beginning, there will be an indentation. Yeah. So, but then if there is no empty line, it does not mark the beginning of a new paragraph. So, the fact that there should be no indentation is because it is a paragraph, new paragraph. The fact that it is following begin center, end center is just a coincidence. Begin center, some text that is to be centered, and end center. That finishes centering. After that, it thinks that this is a new paragraph now. But whenever it is a new paragraph, it will put some indentation. So let us compile this and see. This is where we did. This is to be centered. 2 lines. We put two double slash here, double backslash. That is why it's a new line. After that, this is a new paragraph. It will stop being centered as soon as you put end center. This is no longer centered. So that, but then it is the beginning of a new paragraph. That is why some space has come here. But then after this also we had put one empty line. So this also should have come with some space, indentation of the paragraph. But then to prevent this, we have put slash no indent. Indent means some space, no indent means it will rule out that. Whatever comes at the beginning of the paragraph, that has not come. So it was just coincidence that we put it immediately after begin center. Yeah, let us go back here. End center was there. Here there were some empty lines. Yeah, we have some empty lines, and then there was no indent. That is why here there was no space was left. Yeah. So after flush left, flush right also same argument applies. No indent that has been put here has been put only because of it is the beginning of a new paragraph, and if you don't want that indentation, then that is when you have to put that no indent. Okay, another question was about the subscripts, superscripts, how to change the font sizes to large, small. This is something we will see very soon. IEEE margins, 2 columns, about this we already answered that IEEE margins, whatever margins are to be set, will certainly get decided when you use IEEE conf class file. Which class file? Not article, not book, not report. You have to use IEEE conf. This particular class file has to be downloaded from the net separately from IEEE website. It does not come in the default LaTeX installation, but the CLS file is available for free on the IEEE website. They want us to use that class file. That is why they have made that available. that two columns is the default in IEEE conf. If it is one column, then you have to say /1 column. How to change the space between the two column, that is something I have forgotten now, but I am sure that IEEE conf inside that class file you can see this. Best is to keep IEEE conf.cls in your current directory. Why? Because you cannot keep it where other article.cls, all those class files are, because those are all requiring super user permission. You can keep it in the current directory, and when you LaTeX, it will find in the current directory first. There was also a question about inside IEEE papers, typically it is two columns. That time you want table to come completely exhausting the width of the page. Yeah, completely exhausting meaning the side margins should not be utilized, but the table should fit in not just half the column width, but twice. In other words, the table should not be inside a two column environment. So how to make the table and some figures come in one column? This is something that is certainly possible, but then I do not have the answer now. I would suggest that answer to this is certainly available on the net. In fact, IEEE class file will also have the answer, because IEEE wants us to do like this. They will have provided detailed help about this. What is certainly important is how to view the contents of article.cls file that has come on the chat. That is a good question, that we will certainly answer right away. Okay, so how do you find out which all files have got taken? Yeah, for example, why don't we say grep, why don't we see the log file, why don't we see glimpse.log file. It says this PDF tech version number so and so. Yeah, it is saying that in the current directory it has picked, yeah, / means current directory. In the current directory it has picked this text file. Yeah, this was given as the argument to the LaTeX, to the PDF LaTeX command. Then immediately you said document class article, so it had to find this article.cls file. Article.cls file, where will it find from? It has somehow decided to go to /user/share techmf techlive, some long path. Inside this directory it has found article.cls. Yeah, how did it know it should go in this? Just like all your commands get found in some path, this we saw in using Linux tools, like that for LaTeX also there is a path. Every file it requires, it will look from some collection of directories. That collection of directories is all intimated somewhere. Everything is very open, very visible. So there is a variable called tech inputs. On this computer, tech inputs is not there. Why tech inputs is not there? Because all the tech files that are required, they are there in the default LaTeX directories. If the files that you need, if they are there in the default directory includes the current directory. If it is in the current directory or all the default directories, then this variable is not required. Yeah, so that is why echo this particular shell variable doesn't have anything. But what I do, many of the useful files I keep in a particular directory, and that is not the default, that's not default. So this tech inputs is same for both LaTeX and PDF LaTeX. Okay, it is in fact a tech directory. So I have to keep such a variable, because I don't keep it in the default. I keep it, for example, all figures I keep in one directory, so that I don't have to make a copy of the figure each time in each paper. Like that, such a variable is where you can specify. So incidentally, it happened that the default includes these directories. If it doesn't include this, that is when we need that article.cls. So this is where that file is kept. So why don't we open this file and see now? So this is running into two lines. What we can do, grep tech mf techlive in glimpse. Yeah, so many have come. Why don't we pipe it through article? Pipe it through for the grep command, and we look for only the article. Yeah, okay, why don't I do this faster? this is the exact file. Why don't we do less and that file? So, this particular file has been picked from some big directory. It says this is file article.cls, yeah, percent. It has percent 1% or 2%. It's a comment. It says how it's a distribution license, copyright issues, yeah, all these are comments. So, it has many such, yeah, new if. One can define a if as a if, then LaTeX to a large extent works like any programming language. So, one can declare all these lengths, set length, paper height is being declared here, yeah. So, various things are all being declared here. This is how one views a CLS file. It is a plain text file. If you open it using an editor like Vim, then it will in fact show some nice syntax also. Yeah. Only that it says it is read only. So, this in this particular terminal the syntax has been disabled, but I can it has been disabled because colors are not visible. See here, all comments are coming in one color, all these commands are coming in different colors. You can see all these variables about the width between two columns, etc., is all visible from here. So, that answers this question about how to view a CLS file. CLS file is just like a text file. It is all very readable. Syntax highlighting is exactly the same. Vim syntax highlighting is the same for CLS file or STY file or .tex file. Yeah. So, how do we include this CLS file? You just keep it in your current directory. If you do not want to maintain multiple copies of IEEE.conf.cls, then you can keep it in a particular directory and include it in the text inputs. This is something we can do after the tea break. We will say how to set the variables, text inputs, etc. Yeah. So, now coming to the question about superscript, subscript. So, we will quickly see just one example of superscript. More examples also we can see later when we come to math mode. Also, we will see how to set the font sizes. Small, this is smaller, yeah. This is different fonts. This can be seen on the net also. Script size, this is even smaller. Footnote size, this is really small. This is extremely. I am writing this is extremely small, this is just for convenience. After footnote size, whatever you put, that text will come very small. Why don't we LaTeX this and see what's happening to the sizes. So, footnote size is not a size it appears, it comes footnote, it is applicable only within it's applicable only within is applicable only within a footnote, yeah. We will say large, capital, huge. This is large, this is very here, this small, yeah, this, you can see that the sizes are changing, and the sizes are all changing proportionately. On the top we have set 12 point, and 12 point means this size, which is same as this size. After that all the sizes are changing, larger and smaller, yeah. Script size is the smallest, this is smaller, this is just small. Footnote size is actually between script size and small, yeah. So, this is typically there on the net, do not worry about this, any LaTeX manual will have this information. If you want to make it large, then this is large. If you in the large command, if you make L capital, then it becomes little larger, and huge means very large. Huge is maybe I do not know if all capital will make it even huge. It says it is not a command, but Vim may not know. Huge is not a command, but I am sure this is a command. Large with all that is between huge and large. Here, you see this particular thing has got generated with all letters in the large command capital. Yeah. Okay, so that completes all the questions we asked. How to put subscripts and superscripts is one thing we have not yet seen. Let us go to that now. This is normal size again. Yeah. Script size means what? Either superscript or subscript. That is very small actually, smaller than footnote size. Now we will see a subscript RT. Suppose we say t to the power 100. Yeah. So it is showing red in our syntax highlighting. It is showing red. That is because superscripts are something that have to be in math mode. Yeah. Why don't we just try to LaTeX? Even though it shows red, syntax is after all just, it says there is an error. Please note, we have not come back to the prompt, and I said this is some mistake you all have to remove. It says that missing dollar inserted. Yeah, missing dollar inserted means what? It is supposed to be within dollar signs. We will come to this in more detail when we see math mode. We have to put this in between dollar signs. Then the red has gone, means there is no error now. Here, I have made the font larger. See, this 1 has gone as a superscript to T. Only 1 has gone. 0 0 also was supposed to go. Well, 0 0 was supposed to go. We did not tell LaTeX. We put superscript and we put only 1 in front of it. If you want everything to go as superscript, then you have to put them in curly brackets. Yeah. So notice that now. Why don't we increase this? We can put this and increase the space after that double. Here now, because we have put 1 0 0 all between curly brackets, it has put everything between the curly brackets as a superscript. Yeah, and the size of the script also has become smaller. The superscript or subscript, the script it is script size. That is the definition of script size. This is how you put superscripts. Superscripts we need only in math mode, and that is why we had to put them between dollar signs. If you want the same thing as a subscript, instead of hat, you can use underscore. So underscore is the same thing that is immediately after the 0 letter on each keyboard, but underscore is you need shift. Yeah, this is different from dash. This is dash and this is underscore. It is showing in red because underscore is supposed to come only inside math mode. So please note they are different symbols. Next to 0, but using a shift key is what you get underscore. Underscore is what one uses for subscripts. Here, that 100 has gone down as a subscript now. Yeah, I hope this answers the question of superscript and subscript, but we will see this in more detail when we come to math mode. So we will continue with the slides now, or else we will go to lists. Somebody had asked about how many nestings is possible. I can think of only 4 or 5. If more are required, you can easily configure this list environment. Yeah, only that you should tell what to use after numbers are exhausted, after capital, small letters, Roman letters are exhausted. Footnote. Please note, footnote is different from footer. Footer is what comes below on each page. Yeah, page number is typically there in the center of the footer. Page number can also be on the left side or right side. All those settings can come with fancy header package. If you do use package fancy header, this I typed earlier this morning. then you can have many more fancier headings, footers, but footnote is a very basic thing, it will come only in that page. Yeah. So, let us see a quick example. So, let us do like this. So, we already have some text. So, we will see these examples. So, we have compiled the entire document. So, we have made a table. Let us see the different things that we have made. We have made a table here, and inside table, sorry. So, this is some text we put here. This we had typed earlier this morning. Then this is another subsection, and then there is some question mark here because it is inside some table. Why the question mark has come? We will see very soon when we use labels and refs and other such markup. Yeah. Inside this plotting, inside this enumerate environment, one footnote has come. Yeah. Footnote has actually come here, but that footnote has a symbol. Yeah. You can have many footnotes on the same page, you can have footnotes on many pages. All the footnotes will be numbered 1, 2, 3 within the same page and across pages also. And the entire document has only one running number, unless you use some report where the footnote might depend on the chapter number. Each of these numbers can be made to depend on the section number, on the chapter number, from within which they are called. So, this particular one that has come here has come as a symbol, and a more that note, the footnote has been written down. What about this question mark? This question mark is because we did not LaTeX 2 times. First time that number is found, yeah, first time the number is found, A is decided, and second time it is put wherever it was required. For example, that question mark that was there here also has gone off. So, this footnote has come because we said a / footnote command. Let us go back. Here in plotting, we said / footnote. Once you say / footnote, you have to open a curly bracket, and everything that you type until the end of the curly bracket. Yeah, this all comes until, so that curly bracket ends up to here. They all go into the footnote. Yeah, they do not have to be on different lines. One can easily put them on the same line. Yeah. So, that is why it has gone to footnote. At least I personally prefer no space. If we remove the space there, then that it will stick to the word plotting. Here, now one has come even closer. If it had been the second footnote, the number 2 would have come. This, please note, this one is not the same as this one. It is just coincidence that inside enumerate, the first one we have called the first footnote. We can see this, we can make matrix operations as the first one. Here matrix operations come, then plotting, and this plotting is where the footnote is. Yeah, so this is how one uses footnote. Okay, let us see the next thing in the slides. Label name and references. This is one of the most important things used in LaTeX. All the cross referencings never have to be done manually. Yeah, this is very important because we might have equations, we might have section names, section numbers, and we are saying for more details please see so and so section. But that section, it is section 2 now, very soon we will include more information and it will become section number 3. Yeah, typically in most reports, books, chapters, introduction, articles, introduction is written at the end. That entire section introduction is not there typically, and you will actually say number 2 for section 2, but later on introduction section will come, all numbers have to be changed by 1. For those purposes, we will never use the number that is generated. Yeah. So, let us go back to this. So, let us see the first time that section occurs. So, this is where section, yeah. So, we will say label, intro section. So, inside this label almost any character is allowed. Of course, percent is not allowed, dollar is not allowed, but underscore you can use here. Yeah, why? Because this is inside a label only. Yeah. So, my convention is to use colon here. We can go to the next place where section occurs. Here again another label, glimpse, some meaningful names. Yeah, these are some 2 labels we put. This section we can say now, this section in the bracket, section number, which number is this, 1 or 2, we do not know at the time of writing. So, why do not we say slash ref glimpse section, whatever section it is, we have already given it a label. Yeah, this section in the bracket you might want to say what is the section number. This section of course you do not have to say because it is the same section, but if this section had been section number 5 and from within section number 5 you want to say look we already discussed this in section, in section number 2. Some other cross referencing is where it is extremely useful. Yeah. So, well this label does not have to be on the same line, it could be on the following line also, if that makes it easier to read. Now, we will see what happens when you compile it. So, now we will write this and compile it. Once we have compiled it, let us go back to this. This is where introduction section starts. Note that introduction was section number 1. We gave a label to this section also. These are subsections of section number 1. Let us see where section 2 starts. A glimpse of SciPy functions. This is supposed to be section number 2. This is where we wrote this section. Section number question mark has come here. We are supposed to say section number 2. Why has 2 number not come? Why has question mark come? Because in the first time this particular text file was being compiled, it found out that this section is section number 2. The second time you compile it is when the number 2 will come, wherever it was referred to. So, why do not we compile this just once more? When you compile this, automatically Evans, I said, refreshes the screen. Somebody had asked which PDF viewer to use. Yeah, so that is perhaps because you were participating in a forum at the time when I was explaining this. PDF viewer, Evans, just use Evans. Evans PDF viewer refreshes the screen. That is why by just compiling again the PDF now found the number put 2. When you did PDF LaTeX, this number 2 has gone and sat inside this. Yeah, that is because we use /ref. So, what is label? Whatever number you will need later, only there you give a label. Because you gave the label inside a section, it will take the section number and put it as that label. And whenever you refer to the same label name, that particular number will come there. Yeah, so that's the number 2 has come here. Let us see section number 1. Section number 1 also we had given a label. That label has already got the number 1. This section, why don't we say section number? Which comes after section introduction in the bracket sec num ref intro section. I think that is the name we gave. Yeah, this is the number we had given. So, we have added section number glimpse section which comes after section introduction, which is section number something. What is that number? We still do not know. Yeah, we have given a label, so we will refer to that label. So, we have written and we will compile this only once now. Yeah, whether compiling once is enough or not, that is what we are going to decide now. This section, section number 2, which comes after section introduction. Here section number 1. 1 has already come without having to compile twice. Whether once or twice, whenever you put a new label or ref, just compile twice. Nowadays we do not have shortage of computing power. PDF LaTeX twice is no harm. Incidentally, 1 was enough because that particular label had already got number 1. The first time you introduced it and you compiled. We compiled 2 times for this question mark to be replaced by 2. Already that number had become 1. As soon as you called it, it put the number 1. And you did not have to compile twice now. So this particular numbering is very useful for chapters, sections, footnotes. You might want to say that this has already been clarified in footnote number 3, but then you put another footnote and all the numbers are going to change. So there also you should use labels. Inside footnote, whenever you say label, it will automatically inherit the number of that footnote. It is very useful for equations, very useful for table numbers, figures. So anyway, you can also use it for page. Yeah, you can say this page, you can take a counter, whatever this particular page is, that page should go to a counter, to a label, and you can call that particular label later using ref. So this, let us go back to the slides. So ref and label come together. So label, label name, wherever you want to call it, ref, label name. This ref could come either before the label or after the label, but the number to actually appear there, you have to compile 2 times after putting the label. After you put the label, label name, you have to compile at least twice, then the number will actually appear there. So we can see an example of this when we see an equation again. Yeah, very important for this course at least, and in general, is how to include code inside a document. So code is one place where it is important that we include things verbatim. Yeah, so verbatim is what? It will come in typewriter font. Why verbatim? Why we have to put things verbatim? Because there might be certain symbols of the code which should not have the LaTeX, which LaTeX should always take literally. Yeah. So let me show you how difficult it would be if this verbatim or listings were not there. I am looking LST listing. Yeah, look at this. So this is a text file that I already have. It says in. So whatever is written here is Python syntax. Yeah, it's Python syntax. What is the syntax? This is our prompt. On the prompt you type these things. Yeah, you may or may not have seen this already yesterday. But inside this Python syntax, one uses various symbols. Yeah, these symbols should really appear as Python code. Sorry, let me just look for. Yeah, for example, this is the output that has come from Python, and maybe there are multiple spaces here, and I said already that in LaTeX multiple spaces are same as one space. Yeah, so obviously all alignment is going to go bad because some numbers might have lesser number of digits. Yeah, there might be 0 here, 1 here, 0 here, and if it is 0, then maybe we don't show it. Yeah, so clearly all alignment will go bad here, but actually in Python output it was aligned, and now it is not aligned. So so it is important to put it in a so called verbatim environment. Yeah, so one way to do it is, so let us see what happens with this. How to make a table we will see very soon. but look, this is what has come verbatim. What is the significance of verbatim? You have already copy pasted something that has come as the output of another program, or maybe it is Python code itself that's already written up somewhere, and now you want to just include it into your LaTeX document. In the process of including, there could be some particular symbols that have a different meaning in Python, but then when you include it here, now suddenly these symbols will have an interpretation, because you are now going to do PDF LaTeX. Yeah, for example, maybe you have curly brackets here. Yeah, maybe we have curly brackets here, and let us see what happens when you do PDF LaTeX. When you do PDF LaTeX, it has come curly brackets. Yeah, it has come curly bracket, even though curly bracket I said has a different meaning in LaTeX. Why did it have exactly curly bracket effect? Because we use the verbatim environment. Suppose you had copy pasted the code from some other file here. Now LaTeX doesn't know, look, this curly bracket has come from Python, it has come from whatever, some other code, and curly bracket should be taken literally. So let us see what happens when you LaTeX now. So curly bracket is actually used for various purposes. If you don't put anything, if you just put curly bracket, nothing will come. See, right now what has happened, you didn't put double slash, so it has all put everything to one line. Moreover, that curly brackets have gone, they are not even there here. Yeah, they were supposed to be here and here. So now when we put a different code into our tex file, we will have to do suddenly so much more work. We will have to put double slash here, 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 here. So why don't we put double slash, so that, because we want it to really look like the code. So it's giving some error. So there is some because of all this, because there are so many opening square brackets and then closing square brackets, because of all this, it's giving some all types of new errors when you do PDF LaTeX, while the purpose was that this particular output has to just be displayed in your document. Yeah. So here there are this PDF LaTeX, but with some difficulty maybe you can do these things. Let's do just 2 lines. Here it has said in, it has first of all put some begin paragraph, some indenting here, unnecessary, it is all clearly unnecessary. So for all these reasons, we are not happy with this. Whenever you want to include a code, lot of overhead work will be required. Moreover, whatever you are including in the code might be generated by the program. You make a small change there, again all this work would have to be redone. For all these reasons, why don't we just say there is a verbatim environment in LaTeX, we will use that environment and say LaTeX, whatever follows between begin and verbatim and end verbatim, that should be just displayed on the screen as it is. Don't be too smart trying to interpret curly brackets as something, square brackets as something, don't do all that. If it is begin, if it is between begin environment and end environment, just put the text literally, just put it verbatim. Verbatim means actually that. So as a process of doing this, it is showing in a different font that this has come verbatim. The default is to put it in typewriter font. It might be possible to do it in other fonts also. Okay, so that is one aspect about verbatim. But then verbatim, for example, will not know this is Python. It will not show it in nice syntax. It will not say, for example, array is a command, all the square brackets, curly brackets. Yeah. So if it is Python code, why don't we? Yeah, this is a relatively newer thing, I should say. Why don't we say LST listing? Yeah, this has come because of the listings package. Because of the listings package, it has shown all this. Yeah, it has shown this in particular fonts. So the font changes are not very explicitly visible because of our particular listings settings, but then we will see some more examples where this is more visible. Yeah. So about listings also there were some doubts that somebody whether to use listings or listing, in that context we will see this in little more detail after we see other topics. Coming back to the slides, if you want to include text verbatim, especially if it has come from another code, if it is generated, if it is already written up for some other purpose and you want to only include it verbatim, then you can say begin verbatim, end verbatim. Yeah, also line by line there are some easier ways, /verb also does verbatim. If it is code of a particular language, then listings is a very good package to do it. You use it and then you can also set how what color the commands should look, what color the comments should look. Can you use LST listing of a whole block of code? Also, if it is only for that line, you can do LST inline. Now coming to figures, tables, floats. Yeah, so what is float about it? What is figure table? How do you define figure table? And what is float about it? Yeah, so float stands for that you see figure table, they always require some amount of space which may not be there at the end of that page. Yeah, you might call a figure and this happens to be almost at the end of the page. There is space for 2-3 lines, but not for an entire table. There might be space for 3-4 lines, but not for a big figure. So you should allow this figures tables to float. Yeah, float is like something floats on water. It goes, if the water level is high, it will float up. Something that floats in the air like balloons, they go depending on some density. So depending on some other parameters, it will float to a relevant place. Yeah. So float, that is the reason that figures tables are called floats. There are many other environments which are all float environments where it will not occur precisely where you put it, like begin abstract, end abstract, equations. These all come precisely where you call it in the tech document. But while you are latexing, it might happen that table, figure, these require a lot of space and there is space for just 2-3 lines, but not for a whole table. So table will come on the next page, but 2-3 lines continuation after whatever comes after the table will already come here. Yeah, so the sequence will get broken. Table occurs at a particular place in the text file, but it could come later. Yeah, so one can specify that even if it comes later, it should always occur at the top of the page. It should always occur at the bottom. You might say no, it should occur here. Yeah, so we will see these things in more detail now. So meanwhile, there is a program, there is a question on chat saying how to show algorithm inside a document. Any packages available? So there is a algorithms package. Use package algorithms, that also has to be installed separately. I think it is not there in the default. I am answering this specific question, how to show algorithm. In an algorithm, typically we want input, output, we want some indenting. All these things are for, you have a for loop, you have a while loop. Until so and so happens, you repeat this. You also want the steps to have some numbering so that you can refer to those numbers. All this is very much possible using a package called algorithms. It is very relevant for computer science documentation, computer science reports. So how do you include figures? So graphics is a package that allows us to insert graphics. Yeah, so graphics both with an X and with a S. This is not a spelling mistake. Yeah. So graphics and with X and S, both are two separate packages. They work together. They are not incompatible with each other. So they are used for including figures. If you want to use that package, you should write use package graphics before the begin document. In other words, in the preamble. And when you want to actually include it, that is where you will say include graphics. Yeah. So we will see an example. And then after include graphics, you have to say as an argument to this particular command, you will specify the file where it is. So let us see an example. So here is how we start a figure. Begin figure. H stands for here. H stands for this whatever comes in square brackets after the environment has been specified. Yeah, so please note, begin is a command, but begin means it's a command for starting a new environment. What is that environment? Figure. Figure happens to be an environment which is float. Why? What is float about it? it will float to wherever there is space. Yeah, many journals, many papers, many books want the figure to always be at the top of the page. Perhaps that is the default when you use report class file. But if you want it to be here, preferably wherever you call it, you want it to be there, then you use the H for here. Similarly, there is top, bottom, T, B, T for top, B for bottom, H for here. Exclamation mark means you try harder to put it here, even if there is less space, even if it means going a little out of the margin, still we insist that it is here. Yeah, so LaTeX does not want you to decide anything about such things, but you will at least be able to specify H, you will be able to insist a little. Exclamation typically means force something. We had seen it in the context of Vim, Q exclamation we had used there. So in most of the Linux commands, exclamation means insist. So here, insist that it is here. That is how we should understand this. You can also specify multiple letters, H, T, B, preference. First is H, then top, then bottom. If H is not possible, then top, then bottom. So one can specify different such optional arguments between square brackets, but if it is optional, that's why it is in square bracket, it is not required necessary. It does not have to be specified. Then you might want the figure to be centered, that is a begin center, end center. And then inside you will say include graphics is the command, then between square brackets you will put some optional arguments, we will see more optional arguments, and then sign. Sign is supposed to be the name of the file which contains that figure. Yeah, so sign is where the figure is stored. So let us see what that figure is. Yeah, once that figure file name has been told, then you can say end the centering. You can give a caption. What is the significance of the caption? We will see very soon. And then you can give a label to this figure. Why? Because this figure will be figure 1, for example, and later on you might want to say refer for more details to figure 1. So for that you have to give a label. So if you are giving the label inside a figure environment, automatically the figure number will come there. It will not take section number. Even though this figure occurs inside a section, the label will automatically understand that it is between begin and end of a figure. Because of that particular fact, label will take the figure number and put it as the name of this label. Whenever you use /ref_fig::sin, it will become this figure number. Now we are going to first see where is this file sign. Is it sign.pdf or sign.png? What is it? After that, we will compile this and see whether the figure has got included or not. Yeah, when we do ls, in my particular computer, there is a file sign.png. There is no file called just sign. Sign.png is the one that is there. Why don't we view this? Yeah, we don't know whether PNG files are to be viewed using events or not, but there is no harm in trying. So luckily PNG files are getting opened using events. So sign is some figure that already has this much information. Yeah, it has some legend, how to put a legend, etc. when you make a plot in Python is what we will cover later. Somehow this figure has already got generated, and this PDF file, this PNG file we want to include in our report. Yeah, so if you want to include this PNG file in our report, then how do you do it? In the LaTeX file, this is how we have done. In the LaTeX file, we have written this. Did we specify .png? There is no harm in specifying it. Okay, so graphics package has some default extensions already, it has been told. You can add more things to it, you can also set it. Why don't we write .png? Yeah? And now we will try to compile it. You can see inside this glimpse.log, it has said, hey look, file. There was this file that was called path, it has told it is in the current directory only, because it is current directory, it is not saying it is also saying inside, it is inside the 8th page. As and when this file pages are getting generated, it is putting these numbers, and inside the 8th page there is some, I think after the 8th page, meaning in the 9th page or the 8th page, this we can verify when we open it. It says it has found this sign.png. It has also used some file command to say, to understand that it's a type PNG file. Yeah, then it said, look, float specifier changed to exclamation HT. Yeah, some warning it has given. So this is where it is started. It has been told to look for sign.png, and it has found it in the current directory. That is how we should understand this. Yeah. Now let us open the document and see whether it has put this or not. It has put it here. That particular file has been taken and it has been put here with some scale option. It has set sine curve here. Number 1, of course, it has put itself. Figure word also it has decided and put itself, because it is inside a begin figure, end figure. It has put this number 1 there. It has put this word figure there. Number it chose itself. Colon also has come. What should come in front of this? That is what is specified using the slash caption. Now please notice the slash caption sign figure. Now if you comment this, if you don't want this, we can still LaTeX it. Yeah, now it has not put that caption. Neither figure nor number, nothing has come now. Caption, when you say, already the word figure, number will all come. It will also put that caption there. Yeah. So this is how one includes figures. So let us see about these other optional arguments. Yeah, this sign.png might be a very big file, big not in terms of size, not in terms of file size, but in terms of the width, height. For that purpose, you might want to scale it down. In how much space should you fit it? So you can say scale equal to 0.4. Yeah, see, these are optional arguments to the include graphics command. We can also see some more. Specifies the factor by which you have to scale the image. Less than 1 means it will make it smaller. You can also specify height, width. Height and width can be specified both together. Yeah, the figure itself might have some height, width. If you specify both, then the ratio is going to go bad. Yeah, if you specify only one of them, then the other one gets decided based on the figure's height and width. So if only one of them is specified, then aspect ratio is maintained. Even if you specify both, you can still say keep aspect ratio, in which case maybe some margins will get cut. Yeah, I am not sure keep aspect ratio, how that will work. If you specify both height and width, you can also say you want the figure to be rotated by some amount. Yeah, for example, we might have scanned some image inside some scanner. We might have kept a page, scanned some image, and while scanning, somebody has not kept it carefully, and the figure has got rotated a little. The scanned image has got rotated a little. Now, with so much capabilities of LaTeX, maybe you can rotate the figure a little rather than asking that person to again keep the page, scan it properly. Yeah, how much carefully somebody scans, still 1-2 degrees difference is always possible. Yeah, so you can use angle equal to 90, angle equal to 2-3 degrees. I think the default is degrees. You can specify the angle, to what extent it should be rotated. Positive, negative, both angles are allowed. So these are optional arguments to the include graphics command. For using the include graphics, you should call the graphics package. You should use the graphics package. Graphics package will decide about the extensions, etc. Yeah, so what we did not try ourselves is, what if we don't specify the extension? What happens if we compile it? So we compile this. Now we will see the figure. So again it has picked the correct file. There was no file called sign. File was sign.png. But still this default extensions, it has looked for the PNG file. We can look for that in glimpse log. So it has looked for sign.png. Yeah. So there are some other extensions that are possible, JPG, GIF, all these extensions you can declare in the start. And whenever we don't give any extension, whenever whatever you specify that file is not there, then it should look for these extensions. Okay, so let's see the next topic. So what are these floats? The next topic is about floats. So graphics and tables are special because they cannot be broken across pages. Yeah, you have to have the entire thing in one page. You are forced to do that. Yeah. For graphics, clearly you don't want half figure in this page, half in another page. For tables, there might be such long tables that they don't fit in one page anyway. Even if you start from the beginning of the page, they don't fit. That is possible. Yeah. So they are supposed to be floated. If you want the table to break across pages, what to do about that, that we will see later. But let us assume that now we have small tables which will fit in one page, provided you begin quite early, in the middle or the top of the page. So that is the importance of floats. So there is this font size that I had to make larger, because of which these permissions are going out, but you can wait for a minute to see. So this particular page, something is going out of this page, is going to the bottom. That is because these floats don't work in Beamer, they work in regular documents only, regular articles, reports, they don't work in Beamer. And here it's going to the bottom of the page, spilling out of the page, because the font sizes have to be made larger. Yeah, in Beamer it is not possible that it will go to the next slide. So that is why only this particular part we will see immediately after the tea break, when we make the slide smaller, and we will save both the files that time on a view. So one can specify figure environment, it allows us to put a caption, even the table allows us to put a caption. One can also center it, one can label the images. Yeah, all the figures are auto numbered. Tabular. Now coming to this important topic called tabular, which many of you had asked, some of you had asked in the questions. So tabular is the environment. Tabular is what you use to typeset a table. The tabular itself comes inside a table environment. Why? Because you might want to make a table without an environment. That is also possible. So the tabular is enclosed inside a table environment. The table environment now allows you to give captions, the numbers, etc. come from the table environment. But tabular itself is the main one, that is the one that is to be used to construct the table. How do you construct the table? Yeah. So here, this what you see has been constructed using a tabular environment. Now you have to specify how many columns, how many rows. Number of rows doesn't have to be specified, but number of columns has to be very clearly specified at the beginning of the table only. And inside each column you can specify whether it should be justified inside that column to the left side or right side or to the center. If you use this, which we call the pipe, if you use, it produces a vertical line between two columns. Why? You might want to make a column in which there is no vertical line between the columns, or you may want double lines. So vertical line is produced using this pipe. You can also, there is also another one. There is also paragraph mode, where you might have you might have long text which should automatically split to multiple lines. That is also there. That's called P for paragraph mode. In addition to left, right, center justification, there is also a P. Now, as far as the float is concerned, you have to specify whether this table should be in the top, bottom, or center in that page. Yeah, so that is specified by T, B, or C as optional arguments to the table environment. So please note, table is different from tabular. Tabular is the innermost one which actually makes the table, and this table itself is a float. That is why you put it inside a float environment called table. List of tables, list of figures. Inside a report you might have many tables, figures. which is also required to be in the table of contents. After the table of contents, we also want to have a list of tables, list of figures. These are all also automatically generated. Yeah. So if you, as soon as you put list of tables command inside your main text, this list is generated and put into the document. Of course, you might have to LaTeX 2 times again for list of figures also. Yeah. So now we will see some examples of tables. Let us construct a very simple table. Let us first see what happens if you do not put a tabular, if you do not put a table environment. When you say tabular, you are supposed to say immediately after that how many rows, how many columns. Yeah. Suppose we have 3 columns, 3 columns, and suppose these are all numbers. This could be rupees, for example, and then they should all be aligned to the right side, so that when you total, each digit comes one above another. The least significant digit all have to be aligned to the right side. Yeah. So this is an example where, so you can put some numbers 45. How do you separate 45, 56, 900? Zero 51. Yeah. So this is how one specifies a table. Now, as I said, if you put it on another new line, LaTeX does not understand that this is supposed to be a new line. You have to say new line. For the last line, as soon as if you are going to say end tabular, of course it knows that the line has ended. For the last line, no requirement of double slash. Even if you put it, perhaps there is no problem. Why don't we LaTeX this and see what output has got created. Only one page has got created. This is the output. Yeah. Has it got justified to the right? Yes. It has not separated the columns putting in using any slash. It is not using any vertical line. So now we can go ahead and put that. 3 columns is specified because there are 3 letters L, C and R. L for left, C for center, R for right. As soon as you use one of these letters, it becomes like a column. Yeah, we might say centered one. These both, these both should be centered. This should be right, or maybe this should be left. This will also create the same one, but they will be aligned in a different way inside that. We might say on the leftmost we want a vertical line. Let us compile this and see. Now it has put these lines. Whether it is aligned to the left, right, center is more visible after you put these lines. As I said, because these might be numbers, we might be interested in totaling it. That is when right justification is important. Yeah, here clearly, if you want to add, then this is left justification is not a good thing to do. If they have different number of digits, centering is also not good. Yeah, if they are numbers, it is best to right justify. You might also want to say that the last one, this particular column is total. That is, we want 2 lines here. If you increase the number of lines, that many more lines will come. So we have put 4 lines there. LaTeX does not complain. Why do you want to put 4 lines? It has just obediently put 4 lines there. Yeah, any multiple number of lines can be put by this. How about separating? We are able to separate columns by putting these vertical lines. How about separating rows? For separating rows, what you have to do is, you have to say one horizontal line. Let's put one horizontal line. It will put a line for the entire row. We put a /h line at the end of the first row. That is why it has put one h line between the first and second row only. Yeah. Similarly, we can put here. We can also put at the top. So, now there is a problem. What is the problem? Here you have to say that after the second row is when you need a H line. Yeah, so by putting slash H line wherever you want, you can put, you can separate the rows using a vertical, horizontal line. If you want to put a line after the last row, then you have to put this 2 slashes. Yeah, this we put because we got an error. You might say there is one header, that is why you want 2 horizontal lines. Yeah, the left one might be unit price, then quantity, total cost. Yeah, this might be how these numbers are. Now we have to make this fonts. So this is how our table might have been built, and we might want to separate the header, the first row from the rest. There you can put 2 H lines. Yeah, for making it look better, we can put 2 H lines here. It is very easy to make tables in LaTeX. So it has put 2 H lines. Yeah, it is also possible using multi-call, which we will not do in this course. Yeah, if somebody is interested, for multi-columns within a table. What is the meaning of multi-columns? You might want to merge 2-3 columns together for a few rows, and below that you will still want to have them as separate columns. There is a multi-call. There is a multi-call by which you can combine multiple columns into one. Multiple rows into one is also possible to combine, but these both multiple columns, multi rows we will not see in this particular course. One important thing that we should be seeing, which is not in the slides, is about paragraph mode. Yeah, you might have one of them as paragraphs, which is specified using P. You have to specify the width of the paragraph. It's a 3 centimeters. This could be long text flowing into multiple lines. So as soon as you put one more column, yeah, so how many columns are there now? 4 columns are there. 4 columns are to be separated by 3 ampersands. Yeah, so let us go back to whatever table was. First our table had 3 columns, that is why there is 1 ampersand here, 1 ampersand here. So 2 ampersands per line, per row. 2 ampersands are required to separate 3 columns. Yeah, so the number of ampersands is very important. If you put less number of ampersands, there is a problem. If you put more number of ampersands, there is a problem. However, one of these problems may not show up as a LaTeX error. Why? Because LaTeX might think that there is no text, last few columns are all empty. Why I have to specify ampersand, ampersand, ampersand for the last few columns? If you put less, I think there is no problem. But something else might go wrong. Later on, somewhere else it might show up as an error. So for example, here we will see there is an error. What error from that number of ampersands going wrong? We should be able to recognize that this error means about that. Inside a table, this is one thing that often people go wrong. What is it that people go wrong in? First you had a table with only 2 columns. Now suddenly you decided that you want one more column. First you had a table with only 3 columns and hence 2 ampersands per row. Now you introduced a 3rd column, introduced a 4th column. 4th column, okay, first header we introduced is extra ampersand, but for others we have not even introduced. Let us see what happens. So the number of ampersands per line is lower. It has not given an error. So here it has assumed that these are all blank. Yeah, that is why it did not insist on an ampersand. we could also put a slash vertical line, then it will also, it will complete only till there. Yeah, look, you didn't put another ampersand, that is why it is showing up as a problem here, even though LaTeX ended correctly. If you put another ampersand, then it will come correctly. Yeah, so please note that these are typical mistakes that we all do. Why did sometimes it did not close? Don't quickly go and say LaTeX, there is some error, something is wrong with this LaTeX package, some bug. All these open source community people don't remove bugs properly, they release the packages. Don't go ahead and conclude like that. First of all, I already told, for bugs, never complain. There is opportunity for you to get involved and start removing the bugs. Yeah, the entire open source community has evolved because of volunteers only. Let me admit, I have not contributed anything. At least I don't complain. Yeah. Second thing is, first give a thought whether there is some mistake you did. Now, that is very likely to be the case. Why it is likely? Because LaTeX has been around since at least 20, 30, 40 years. Since 40 years, nobody has noticed that the line is not vertically closing for certain rows. Is it possible? Yeah. So, please pay attention to these facts before you point out that there is a mistake. Yeah. So, what is the significance of the paragraph mode? If you want some text to go over multiple lines, then you have to use P for paragraph, then it will be both left and right justified, but immediately after P you have to open a curly bracket and say how much width this particular column should be. That particular width does not have to be specified for L, C and R, there the widest thing will decide the column width. But for paragraph mode, since it is supposed to run into multiple lines, you have to tell how much width per line, then you can notice that it has done both left and right justification inside that column. Yeah. Is there any questions about the table environment? We will take the questions now. If there are no more questions, then it is the right time to stop for tea.